Welcome to Bedtime Wisdom Stories.
Story time. The Cushion Castle Truce. Clara and her brother Jude built separate cushion castles before bedtime. Clara borrowed Jude's blue pillow without asking to make her tower taller. Jude found the gap in his castle wall and frowned at the missing cushion. Clara almost said the pillow had been on the floor anyway. But the blue pillow still had Jude's name tag stitched on one corner. She carried it back and admitted that she had taken it without asking. Jude's face softened, though the hurt was still there. Clara offered one golden cushion as a peace gate between the two castles. Together they built an arched bridge from sofa cushions and blankets. The new joined castle was bigger than either fort alone. A toy knight crossed the peace gate under the warm lamp. Mama said sorry becomes strongest when it helps repair what it harmed. Jude thanked Clara for asking first next time. Both castles became one sleepy fort for the last story of the night. Clara fell asleep glad the room felt peaceful again. Moral of the story: a sincere apology becomes stronger when it also repairs the hurt. Story time. The Drowsy Dragon Kettle. Aya wanted to make chamomile tea for everyone after a windy evening. The dragon-shaped kettle on the stove was larger and heavier than her hands expected. Steam clouded the kitchen window while the cups waited on the tray. Aya almost tried to pour the tea alone to prove she was big enough. Then the heavy kettle wobbled and a little tea splashed. Instead of struggling, Aya called her cousin Wren to help. Aya held the cups steady while Wren lifted the kettle handle. Grandma added honey and tucked a folded cloth beneath the hot pot. Together they filled each cup without another drop spilling. The kitchen smelled sweet with apples, honey, and chamomile. Aya carried the light tray while Wren carried the dragon kettle back. Grandma said teamwork makes big jobs feel gentle. Everyone warmed their paws around their cups at the table. Aya liked being useful without doing every piece all alone. She fell asleep remembering the steam curling like a sleepy dragon. Moral of the story: big tasks feel gentle when everyone carries a real part of them. Story time. Hanny's Pajama Pocket. Hanny pulled on pajamas with a little star-shaped pocket before bed. Mama placed the gratitude bowl on the cushion and asked everyone for one thankful note. Hanny said he could not think of anything special to write. He almost dropped an empty paper slip into the bowl just to be done. Then he touched the cookie crumb hiding in his pajama pocket. It reminded him of Grandpa's story, the warm towel after bath time, and the neighbor's smile. Hanny wrote 3 small thank yous instead of one. He folded the slips carefully and placed them in the bowl. His sister added a note about Hanny sharing his crayons earlier that day. The bowl filled with tiny pieces of goodness under the dim lamp. Mama read a few notes aloud, in a soft bedtime voice. Hanny felt the whole day grow brighter as he remembered its little gifts. Even his star pocket seemed happier, with a note instead of a crumb. He set the bowl on the shelf for tomorrow night too. Sleep came softly to his thankful heart. Moral of the story: gratitude makes ordinary evenings glow. Story time. The ribbon around the storybook. Elise borrowed a beautiful pop-up storybook from the village library. The librarian tied it shut with a blue ribbon to keep the pages safe. At home, Elise read on the rug until her eyelids grew heavy. She almost left the book open, face down beside her blocks. Then she noticed one paper castle bend slightly at the fold. Elise lifted the page gently and smoothed the pop-up tower back into place. She retied the blue ribbon exactly as the librarian had shown her. Then she slid the book into a clean cloth bag for the night. In the morning, the pop-up castle opened perfectly again. The librarian smiled when she saw the untouched pages. She said respect often shows in how we return what others trusted us with. Elise helped arrange the bedtime shelf before leaving the library. She felt proud of caring for something delicate and lovely. That night she placed her own books straight on the shelf at home. She slept among neat stories and a careful heart. Moral of the story: caring for borrowed things is one way to show respect. Story time. The Little Lamp for Leo. Leo disliked walking past the dim hallway at night all by himself. Usually he stayed under the quilt and waited for morning instead. Tonight the hallway looked especially long and shadowy beyond the door. Leo almost pulled the quilt over his head and stayed hidden. Then he remembered the tiny lamp Auntie had given him. He clicked it on and watched a warm circle bloom across the floorboards. With the lamp in one paw and a brave breath in the other, he stepped into the hall. The tall coat stand looked less like a monster and more like a sleepy tree. Leo walked the whole hallway and came back on his own. He even stopped to straighten the picture frame that had tipped sideways. Mama saw the little lamp glow and smiled from her doorway. Leo realized courage can whisper instead of shout. He kept the lamp by his bed, not as magic, but as a helper. The hallway no longer felt like it owned his night. He slept proud of the quiet, brave thing he had done. Moral of the story: courage can be quiet and still be real. Story time. Bella and the Broken Biscuit Moon. Bella baked little moon biscuits for the bedtime snack plate. One biscuit cracked clean in half while cooling on the tray. Bella stared at the broken crescent and let out a disappointed sigh. She almost hid the broken biscuit under a napkin and served only the pretty ones. Grandma said broken things still deserve a gentle second look. Bella spread a little yogurt icing between the halves like sweet glue. She sprinkled cinnamon stars across the seam. The biscuit turned into a smiling moon with freckles. Grandpa picked it first and called it the luckiest moon on the plate. Soon everyone wanted the mended biscuit most of all. Bella laughed and decorated the plain biscuits too. She learned that mistakes can become part of the charm. The kitchen glowed with sweet smells and quiet pride. Bella packed one mended moon for tomorrow's lunch. She slept comforted that imperfect can still be lovely. Moral of the story: mistakes can become lovely when we mend them with care. Story time. The Porch Swing Promise. Mateo promised to oil the porch swing before the bedtime songs began. The swing squeaked every time Grandma rocked beneath the porch lamp. After supper, fireflies flickered while Mateo rolled marbles on the step. He almost decided the squeak could wait until another day. Then he heard Grandma stop rocking halfway through her evening tune. Mateo fetched the little oil can from the shed. He wiped the swing chains with a cloth while Grandpa held the lantern high. A few careful drops quieted the rusty creak. Grandma settled back onto the swing with a grateful sigh. The song sounded smooth again in the quiet yard. Grandpa said keeping promises builds a house of trust. Mateo sat on the porch step feeling taller somehow. His marbles were still waiting, but the promise felt better finished. He listened to the silent swing and the crickets beyond it. Sleep came easily to a promise kept on time. Moral of the story: trust grows when we finish the small things we said we would do. Story time. The Owl Who Feared the Dark. Tuli was a young owl who should have loved the night, yet she feared its dark corners. Tonight a cloud covered the moon as she climbed into the treehouse bedroom. The room looked full of strange shapes and feathery shadows. Tuli almost begged Grandma to leave every lamp burning all night long. Instead, Grandma asked her to sit still and let her eyes adjust. Together they named the shadows one by one. The tallest shadow became the broom, and the round one became the berry basket. Tuli giggled when the scariest shadow turned out to be her own wing. Grandma opened the shutter just enough for a stripe of starlight. The room no longer felt full of unknown things. Tuli walked to bed with only the star stripe beside her. She learned that fear softens when shapes become familiar. Grandma kissed her brow and left the door gently open. Night sounds became music instead of warning. Tuli slept tucked inside a darkness that finally felt known. Moral of the story: fear softens when we understand what we are looking at.